Could Donald Trump and the White House be secretly hinting towards a liquidity freeze in the financial system where XRP emerges as a liquidity provider? We are about to find out on this video. A financial freeze might be on the horizon, and XRP stands as a financial weapon that paves the way for a global monetary reset. I'm about to present you a new concept. XRP is a military operation. We are about to go deep in Operation Surface Tension. And before we get started, I'm gonna give you some context. I got an update from Malcolm. He came to my channel a couple of days ago, so I definitely recommend you to watch the first episode of this series. He's basically become an expert in decoding speech, and everything he predicted in the last video is actually happening in real time. So he did send me a private update. Now I watched that, I got goosebumps, and I immediately texted him and I asked if I could share this with my audience. So before we watch this together, I want to give him full credits for this phenomenal job. Now let's get started. I want to put this information out as soon as possible.
Hey, it's Malcolm. I am going to give you one of the dossiers here, overview of it, called Operation Surface Tension. And in the next transmission, I will go over the coming storm with you. These are two important pieces that She-Wolf has picked up on. So let's get into the Operation Surface Tension. So as you can see here, this was on the X.com White House thread, and it was out a few days ago. You can see there is some imagery here. You got the Greenland flag, you got the United States flag, you got a penguin, you got Donald Trump. Their backs are turned, walking toward. What are they walking toward? What's happening here? What does the symbology mean? Well, let's get into that. And we'll go over the following picture that came out that gives you more symbology. And that came a couple days later. The penguin nose, steel hulls, iron wheel, golden fleet. Now, look at what's happening here, right? A submarine has emerged. What does this represent? There are also people in the background here, watching, observing. Okay, they're kind of like on the sidelines watching what's about to happen. Let's take a look at the dossier and see what it says. Now, keep in mind, some of this language in here is going to say what not to say. It's just kind of like cue cards for me, so I don't go off into stuff that shouldn't be mentioned publicly. Anyway, mission briefing objective: deploy extracted intelligence regarding XRP, the submarine, onto public channels without triggering hostile radar, appearing unstable, conspiratorial, or possessing classified intel. So that's my mission. My mission is to deliver what is considered to be the intel here from the She-Wolf, which is the soon-to-be patent pending technology that we're using at Seer 3. So we have plausible deniability, I think, because I am not a prophet speaking to you, and I'm not acting as a financial advisor. You know that. Specifically, you trust that. I have no desire to be in that space. My only intention here is, like you, to cipher what's going on in the world and to get a clear signal amid all the noise. So what we do better than I think anybody is we find the clear signal in the noise. That's what this technology was invented for. So the environment, the global freeze in the picture, liquidity crisis. The vehicle, the submarine, institutional utility, and this could mean XRP. The action, the breach, price discovery. Think about the imagery you saw there. Decoding the ice. All right. Now, again, I apologize for the script. We're not going to go on a public interview and do this. This is just going to be for you. It's private intel for you. So this is to be treated as high-level signaling. If you strip away the politics, you're left with symbols of economics. The first thing I see is the environment. It's ice. It's frozen. In macroeconomics, ice represents a liquidity freeze. The traditional banking layer, the SWIFT system, the credit markets is locked up. Nothing is moving. The old system is brittle. It's not making rain anymore. It's freezing over. And then phase 2, the asset identification, the submarine, XRP. Why XRP? It operates deep underwater. It works in the plumbing. It's unseen by retail. It's designed for high pressure. It survives regulatory crushing depths. It is military, sovereign grade. This isn't a toy boat or a meme coin. Although it functions similar to a meme coin, it has buzz, which is very important. So when I look at the crypto market, I ask myself, which asset fits the profile of a submarine? So which asset has spent years underwater dealing with the immense pressure of the SEC and the US government? Which asset was designed specifically for cross-border friction, moving value like a military vessel beneath the surface of the banking system? To me, the submarine represents utility. It represents the bridge asset that connects nations when the surface is frozen. Okay. So phase 3, the hammer failed. So the most critical part of the uploaded image is the breach. The submarine is breaking through the ice. This tells us the silent phase is over. The asset was suppressed, held down by the ice, is now to surface violently. This isn't a gradual thaw. A submarine breach is a kinetic event. It suggests that when the liquidity switch is flipped, the move will be vertical. The ice, the suppression resistance shatters. So the safe close, all right, be the submarine. So this is what we're going to avoid, right? I'm not going to tell you about the speech patterns that were used in this because these are considered to be esoteric and phonetic. They don't have any relevance in terms of what we're giving to you publicly here. And I can't definitively say that this is what's going to happen, that the imagery suggests that this is the only idea that's being presented. And I'm definitely not going to give you price targets. I'm not telling you it's going to go to $100 or $10,000 or even $5. I'm going to let you put 2 and 2 together yourself with what we are bringing to the table here. What I am suggesting is in our analysis, the submarine represents sovereign utility, breaking through the liquidity freeze. And that's why it points to XRP as the vehicle for the new system. Okay, the submarine profile, operational depth, right? Infrastructure layer, XRP operates in the plumbing of the new financial system. The RTGS layer, where central banks and payment processors move sovereign liquidity. Retail visibility was minimal. Institutional dependency is critical. Pressure resistance, regulatory clarity, the only major crypto asset with explicit judicial clarity that is not a security from Judge Torres in 2023, survived 4+ years of SEC litigation, military-grade regulatory hardening complete. Sovereign integration, cross-border settlement, technical design optimized for CBDC interoperability and liquidity bridging, used by 300+ financial institutions globally, not a retail speculation vehicle, it's infrastructure. The breach event, price discovery mechanism. When sovereign adoption switches from testing to deployment, the supply-demand imbalance becomes kinetic. The ice shatters. Price moves vertically as institutional hoarding begins. Okay, now these are some of the archetypes that we picked up through the forensic analysis. The fish is swimming in freezing water, right? Think about this. Your fish are your intermediaries, right? They are the middlemen. So the position, holding legacy crypto assets with no institutional utility or regulatory clarity. Those are fish. That's probably 99% of the cryptocurrency market. Again, not financial advice, just opinion. Outcome, caught in the liquidity freeze. No institutional buy-side support when the CBD integration begins. High volatility, downside risk. They're just going to be starved to death from no liquidity. That's what would happen. So the penguin, standing on the cracking ice. Everybody wants to know what this penguin means. Well, our analysis points to the fact that the position, waiting for clarity or mass adoption, signals before entering, conservative but exposed. The outcome, when the breach occurs, the ice they're standing on, fiat certainty shatters. They enter at much higher prices, post-institutional accumulation. It's interesting how the vast majority is picking up on this intuitively. You see a lot of people coming out and saying this. And the imagery suggests that. So it's putting two and two together and putting the puzzle pieces in place. Ironically enough, you have the South Pole and the North Pole, right? You have an Antarctica and Greenland in the imagery, right? You have the bird from one, and then you have the image of the other. It's out of place. Something's out of place here. So the submarine, operating below the surface, positioned in the utility asset with sovereign-grade regulatory clarity and institutional adoption infrastructure. The outcome is protected from surface volatility, benefits from institutional accumulation phase. So when the breach occurs, you're already inside the vehicle that institutions are using. So the breach occurring is the big event. What happens when a submarine surfaces? First, there's a drawdown, right? There's a vacuum that's created. So the vacuum sucks in, and then the explosive breach. So the intel would suggest that the potential is a possible short-term drawdown with a green candle from hell. That's what the intel is suggesting as a 60% probability. So 60% probability that is what occurs, right? That is what the intel suggests. Everybody wants a 100% guarantee in this world. Well, we can't offer you that, but we can tell you what we're seeing. So the imagery is not coincidental. The submarine breaching through ice is not a metaphor. It's a visual intelligence disclosure at the highest level. When sovereign powers signal this clearly, the window for strategic positioning is measured in months, not years. Just gonna let that set in for a minute. All right, so again, let's take a look at the visual imagery.
This one definitely hits hard, months, not years. With so much volatility and uncertainty in the crypto markets, you can't afford any mistakes. So if you hold XRP and you leave XRP in centralized exchanges, you don't really own the keys. Your funds might end up being wiped out if there is an exchange failure. And this is exactly why Elipal is one of my favorite choices for keeping my funds safe. Elipal has the world's first air-gapped cold wallet, a solid device built in full metal that can resist physical damage. I'm currently using Elipal Titan 2.0. That's a solid choice for a cold wallet. This device keeps your funds completely offline. That means no Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth, no access to external threats. This ensures your private keys remain offline forever. And this is also my favorite crypto card. This is called Elipal X Card Cold Wallet, and you can always opt for the 3-card setup, so in case you lose your card, you can always have a backup card. That's no issue at all. This card comes with military grade protection. It works offline, so you can basically use everywhere. It's built to use on a day-to-day basis, and it's also very small and easy to transport around. If you take your crypto holding seriously, you can't have your seed phrases on paper. And this Elipal seed phrase made of steel is actually the perfect solution. So it's completely waterproof and fireproof. It's made to survive natural disasters. This is built to survive natural disasters, so it's just a perfect solution if you want to keep your cryptocurrency safe. So if you want to get any of the Elipal devices I just showed you, I'm going to drop the link in the description of this video. You're also going to find a 10% discount code on the screen. So you can just pause the video, copy this code out, put that on the website, and you're going to get 10% off in every single one of Elipal products. Now let's get back to the video. And by the way, I just removed myself from the screen so you can visualize the entire thing. So let's get back to this.
The institutional asset that's been immersed under all of the regulatory pressure, right? Here's the onlookers, right? They can't believe what they're seeing. They're just standing off in the distance watching. You got the wolf, which represents Trump here. You know, it's kind of like looking at the asset. Got the American flag, right? America is going to be the crypto capital of the world, right? We're going to make it American, make it institutionally American. So the Penguin knows steel hulls, iron will, and golden fleet. So we got phase 5 technical specification. And what about this caption? Steel hulls, iron will, golden fleet sounds poetic. So it's not poetry. Okay, let me ignore this. Let's look at this interpretation. Steel hulls. We just talked about the submarine. You don't build a submarine out of wood or paper. You build it out of steel to survive pressure. This confirms that the asset we are watching, the one breaking the ice, is battle-tested. It has survived the regulatory crushing depths that destroyed other projects. It's built to last. Iron will. This speaks to the psychology of the market. We've been in winter. Hasn't that been what you noticed? Your asset that you've waited for has been sitting in winter season. The bull was not here. There was no bull market. According to what you look at with inflation, you look at the numbers. Where was the bull market? We've been in winter. So it took an iron will to hold through the freeze, through the lawsuits, through the suppression. This is a nod to the holders who didn't sell when things looked dark. Golden fleet. The most important part is the last two words, golden fleet. Notice it doesn't say digital fleet, it says golden. Connects back to the Greenland imagery, resources, land, hard assets. So again, you're looking at real world assets being tokenized on the XRPL. You're looking at taking value and putting it on the blockchain through the distributed ledger, XRPL. So the submarine, the digital utility, is surfacing to escort a new financial standard, a standard backed by real value, gold. So when the text says the penguin knows, it's telling us the ones who are prepared, the ones in cold storage. So the penguin represents cold storage. I don't know if you realize that, but the penguin represents cold storage. The ones who held on, they know the fleet is arriving. The rest are just watching the ice crack. So operational check, mission status, terminal phase. Okay. Analysis, green, based on publicly available imagery and textual patterns. Interpretations connect observable metaphors without disclosing proprietary timelines. So the impact status, this is critical because this positioning frames XRP not as a cryptocurrency, but a sovereign class asset, steel and gold. Psychological resolve aligned. Okay, so we have the analytical framework distinguished between legacy financial systems, the fish, and represents the fiat, the fish or the fiat. What happens to the fish in the ice? Freezing the fiat. Liquidity freezes, right? And then guess what happens? What happens when something thaws? A flood. You breach. The asset has breached. The asset breaching. Green candle from hell. An emerging sovereign utility infrastructure. Go forth and shatter the ice. Now again, this dossier is strategic intelligence analysis for authorized members only. I'm giving you premier access to it because I think it's important information. And again, this is for entertainment purposes only. Our analysis suggests a 60% probability on this, although in my personal opinion, taking timelines off the table, it feels very, very strong. Timelines, I can't estimate, but I can say with the imagery coming out right now, I can speculate that we're getting closer than you can think. All right. With that said, much love. Hope you enjoy this. You can find me at malcolmkingley.net.
This was absolutely intense. So many hot key takeaways from this presentation. You can be sure that people watching from the sidelines Those are the BTC maxis. They're gonna be in disbelief once XRP takes over the financial system. This only brings more confirmation to what I have been saying on this channel for years. XRP is a military operation. It's a financial weapon. It belongs to a sovereign class asset. XRP has now received gold-like treatment by the CTFC. XRP can now be utilized as a collateral for the derivatives markets. That signals a sovereign class asset. And a liquidity freeze 100% aligned with XRP's pivotal role, a liquidity provider for financial institutions and central banks. XRP was designed for a liquidity crisis. Let me know in the comments, did you enjoy this presentation? Well, this analysis brings a lot of answers. Thank you everyone. I'm gonna see you in the next video.